The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time zone you're watching us from. I'm D Nice, and we've got another great show for you right here. And this is the culture of music and film. And let me tell you what, over this last week, I have had some earth-shaking realizations, man, as I'm watching this thing called news, okay? I'm going to find out what this acronym NEWS stands for, but it's definitely not tidings of what's going on in this world. That's exactly what it's opposite from. Because we're in a position now, ladies and gentlemen, to where we're being flim-flammed, and we've all been there on the streets of L.A., New York. I don't care where you're at. The game is still the same. A guy will sit there with 3 cards. You know what I'm talking about? And he'll shuffle these cards back and forth and tell you to pick out a certain card, and you're not going to get it. It's like playing Vegas. The house is against you, okay? And this is what we're dealing with every day when we're finding out at the top echelon of our political system, everything is politics. And when they're shifting these cards around us and nothing looks like it did over the years past when it comes down to politics and the way that politics is supposed to be run and the country is supposed to be run, it makes you wonder, am I crazy or is everybody else crazy and trying to make me think I am? So, you know what? Just take a breath, stand back, and view it from another perspective. Just say, you know what? They tripping. I'm not. So let me not add to the confusion. Let me find a way to make things brighter for those around me every day. And that way you're doing your part. Okay? So that's what I would say do. Do you. And make sure it's the best you can do. So once again, this is the culture of music and film, and we talk about other things too. Most importantly, I'd like to mix it up and bring in some great people with great knowledge that are able to help you through this struggle called life. And the day is no different. I met this young lady when she came in and did our television show with Miss Linda Coleman Willis on the Millennial Journals on Wednesday, and she just was so set up. And that's what I'm leaving at, set up. I mean, she came in meticulously groomed. She was just using the right vernaculars. I mean, everything about her was on point. I'm like, But when I heard the knowledge base she had, because she helps you get through the traumatic aspects of your psyche. She deals with the traumatic parts of your life and showing you how to get through that. I was like, okay, she can help people connect the dots internally too. And so I said to her, hey, I'm doing a show on Monday. How would you like to come down there and sit behind the mic and talk to the people? And she willingly said, I got your back. And here she is, ladies and gentlemen. I asked her to give me a bio, and then she's been so busy, she couldn't even give me a bio. But she knows who she is. And I told her, honestly, I probably wouldn't have read the bio anyway, because I don't do interviews. Yeah. I just talk to people. We just chop it up. So here to help me chop it up, this young lady who's going to bless you and grace you with her knowledge and her elegance, help me welcome Miss Ginger Lavender Williams. Ladies and gentlemen, boom.
Thank you so much, D Nice.
Thank you for coming down.
I appreciate you having me. Of course, yes, I'm Ginger Lavender Wilkerson, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. And I've been doing the work for about 12 years now. And so I help anywhere from young teens to baby boomers, help them navigate through life. And so in meeting you last week and talking with Linda about millennials and just how we navigate through normal things that are happening in the world, and I'll maybe say typical things that happen to us from day to day, and how to navigate those, because depression is real, anxiety is real, mental health is real. And so any way that I can help to destigmatize that, to think that therapy is a way of life, And so I'm glad to be here. So thank you.
Well, I just was very impressed by your knowledge base. And so, like I was telling you earlier, everything that we go through in life has a psychological component to it.
Right.
And a lot of times we miss it, and we get caught up because we miss it. It's like oxygen. We breathe it, but how many of us analytically sit back and decipher? Air. Okay. You know what I'm saying? We can tell you what we smell in the air, right, but we just can't tell you off the top, well, it's so many particles of this layered with so much of that. We just know, those of us that learned it in science class know H2O.
Right.
But what components that? That's what it is. It's air. Mm-hmm. And to the average person, they don't want to hear all that. It's like, this is the air I breathe. You take away my air, you got a problem. Yeah. And so it's good to find somebody who has the time and the knowledge to bring us in alignment, focus. Right. Because so much of what goes on around us is not our drama. Exactly. It's not our internal fortitude that's clicking us and throwing us off balance. It's what happened around us. Right. And unless we can identify what it is so that we can isolate it, but then we isolate it, where do we put it?
Right.
So these are questions that I'm sure you went through a lot of schooling to learn how to contend with.
Yeah.
So let's do this.
Yes.
Let's take a little journey back.
Okay. Let's do that.
Way back to dinosaur times.
Okay.
All right. We're going back to where this young lady first got her name and decided that she was going to wear it proudly, because when I heard your name, I said, that's so radio TV, Ginger Lavender. Okay. So let's go back and talk about that and what motivated you to bring you on this journey up to where?
To where I'm at right now,
you can just start wherever you want to.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So I have always, I think high school, actually. Okay. So I had an English project in which I had, it was a book we were reading called Medea. I don't know if you know this, but anyways, we were supposed to kind of creatively get into the character of this character of the book.
Right.
And so I thought, okay, what happens with someone trying to get into their psyche or their mind? Psychologist. So I took a spin on that and became the psychologist as this main character, and really wanted to know why she was doing what she was doing.
Right.
And part of it is that she, murdered her 2 children, and you have to read the book. Anyway, so from that point, I love the standpoint of really understanding why people do what they do.
Right.
What is kind of driving them to move towards certain actions. And for some people, whether it's, taking a test, deciding to go left versus right, but there is a cause to every effect. And so me wanting to kind of push through that, I went to college and studied psychology, and I got more in depth to this thing called the mind and mental processes that it really sparked my journey. And I thought from a social justice aspect, I originally wanted to be an attorney because I thought that was the way I wanted to kind of put my mark on the world. But I thought about it in the sense that there is a mind behind actions, and that I really wanted to get to the mind, the reason why people do things they do, as opposed to the social justice aspect.
Right.
And then I'm helping people in the same way because there's a reasoning behind whether it's their childhood or things that happen to them. But yeah, so that kind of sparked my journey. Yeah.
Okay. So you decided you'd rather fix them up than lock them up.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Because the money I know can be in there, but then at the end of the day, you're like, why did he just go there and blow up 16 houses with nobody in them just to see the sparks fly? He could have waited till the 4th of July and got a free fireworks show. So you're right. There's no accounting for what makes people tick. But if you're able to decipher that, you're a leg up because you know how to spot crazy. Right?
I would hope so.
That's an advantage, right?
It is. I try to, at least.
Right. I got it.
But I would say that, like, just say birth to 5, right?
Okay.
So just understanding the development of the brain. So I'm not even talking about at the time where they're actually doing a crime.
Okay.
I'm talking about what are the connections that have been missed, right?
Okay, gotcha.
So development of trust, or the ability to self-regulate, impulses, impulse control. How do I regulate my emotions? So when I get angry, do I immediately go to picking up a weapon?
Right, gotcha.
So just helping that as, kids and teens kind of navigate how they have relationships.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because it starts with the kids. I don't care what you try to say. Kids are going to do what they see you do, and everybody wants to say, well, don't do what I do what I say. okay, if you're not responsible enough to have a safeguard on what you do,
right,
and you want your representative to be what you say, then that is the total definition of insanity. Trying the same thing over and over, trying to get a different result every time. If you do crazy, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna emulate crazy. And kids are soaking up everything like a sponge.
Right.
And so you wonder why they go to school and the teacher calls you, said they done cuss somebody out. They don't have a dictionary under their desk to sit there, come on. So they heard it somewhere.
They have to.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. It's learned behavior.
Yeah.
Yes.
And some of us look at it, they do YouTube channel things about the kids or whatever, and it's like, haha, funny. But it ain't funny.
No, it's not.
It is a serious thing to have kids starting a behavior at a young age, and then you're going to come to them and say, okay, now that you've tasted candy and you love candy, now we're going to take the chocolate away. And you see how rambunctious they get.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I always say that like private practice is public performance. So if they're doing it in the home already, it's going to come out in the classroom. It's going to come out or the grocery store or whatever.
Yeah.
So, parenting is real in the home versus outside of the home as well.
Exactly. And there used to be a time when we had more control of our kids. I think that was before the time they said we could no longer lift our hands up. I mean, that was another political ploy that came into being. But there was times, when we got the back end of the hand, open hand, or my earlobes were, I walk around and my earlobes would be dragging to the ground because they were just snatched on all day during church, or pop you side the head, or, men used to take your hand and thump you in the back of the head or something like that. I mean, it used to be, and then they call that corporal punishment. I'm like, dude, compared to today, what they did last time I was there getting it done to me, dude, now that is corporal punishment.
Yeah.
That was a crime. And it didn't kill me.
Right.
It made me better. And so these kids now, I see them, they're going to malls and whatever, they fall all out on the floor and making the snow angels and whatever. I'm like, kids, ain't no snow down there. Get up. And just tripping, screaming and whatever. Man, it's like, and the parents are just in a state of shock, especially when you go to the Beverly Hills, those kind of scenarios, then they really get out of line.
And really, I think the level of respect for the role of a parent shifts too, because it could have been your mother looked at you or gave you a tone and that changed behavior.
Exactly.
So, I mean, yes, in the physical sense, but there was a time where I could say it in a certain tone and that would change behavior. Yeah. So there is a level shifting of respect for that even. Right.
The paradigm shift is ever present. We just got to figure out how to decipher what we can do and what we don't do. But the training's got to start early. You've got to be able to give them that look before they get out of that cradle and let them know, you know what, when you see this look right here, that means you'll starve the rest of the day and ain't nobody going to find out about it. And if you get too old, you feel like you're just going to go ahead and call the police anyway, you might as well go ahead and just say, put SWAT on the other line because you're going to need them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
definitely.
That's your choice.
It is.
Once they came in and regulated that kids can call the police on you, I mean, it's all by design to tear the fabric of the family apart. Because there was a time, you would get your fingers chopped off. You know what I'm saying? If you had a phone. You had to run to the police station. Right. I'm going to give you a head start. Right. And I'm going to put some buckshot in you on the way down there. You know what I'm saying? Man, but now it's just kaleidoscope city out there now. And so how do you ascertain what's going on when you walk into a room? As a person that deals with psyche, I'm sure that there are vibes, auras, whatever you want to call it, that pop off, and I'm sure you can just feel it when you go in there.
Yes. And I think it's in everyone, right? Got you. So you talked a little bit before of, this internal sense of self, right? So you can be walking and navigating through life and be on autopilot and not be, have your antennas up and paying attention. Right. It's this thing we call emotional intelligence, right? So how am I emotionally in tune to the surroundings? How am I able to read the room? What am I able to kind of pick up on the audience that I'm in front of? Right. And so that is a skill that has to be developed just as much as the intellect in terms of going through school and studying that. And that only through kind of testing your emotional capabilities are you able to really see how far you can go. So it is a skill set that you have to develop as well. So it's not, I don't think that people are born, obviously babies are born to cry.
Right.
to get their needs met.
Exactly.
And then they learn language. And apparently they're supposed to use the language to ask for their needs.
Right.
And so you have to kind of go through those steps in the proper channels. So.
Right. But you're right. Now, it was, seeing that they're doing more with test tubes now, and they're altering genes and whatever else now.
Right.
Now, I'd hate to be that doctor that gets that baby that sits back and smacks the baby. The baby says, "What the heck did you do that for?" Then we're into a whole, but it's coming. Right. It's going to come a time to where they can go into the DNA and input certain chromosomes and this right here that they brought down from genius, this one here, and a knowledge capsule, and have kids that are doing stuff at you already got kids that are like 7 and 8 that's in college right now.
Yeah, this is true.
I mean, where's that come from?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The brain is not that big.
Right.
So imagine that kind of knowledge in that little brain. There's something going on with that.
It has to be. It's clearly not my area of expertise. But what I will say is that, people are designing chronologically the age, but they're not emotionally able to prepare for the language or the knowledge that they're getting.
So there's something wrong with that picture. But I like to be able to sit back and say, okay, here's what you do. Parents, take the time to instruct your kids when they're young and let them know the pros and cons of messing with you. That's what you do. And once they get the pros and cons down pat, we got a caller in, and we're gonna bring our caller in because I can tell he old school. He's a part of our community, been here for a while, and I know he's got to weigh in on something like that because I know he ain't having it. All right, this young man, ladies and gentlemen, this young man, I was walking by his store earlier, and I found this beautiful calendar, and it was called Phenomenal African American Women Past and Present. And you've got all these beautiful women on the front. And then you have, for the 12 months, you got Maxine Waters, you got Oprah Winfrey, Nina Simone. And then I did the few. Go ahead and read the rest of them. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. Audre Lorde, Michelle Obama, Lupita Nyong'o, Johanna Hayes, Julie Dash, Gwen Hill, Lisa Leslie, and Anna B. Andrews. Awesome.
So that's a good calendar,
yeah.
And we'll make sure that we can get in touch with you, so we'll have those available. But the young man I met, he's been a blessing to our community forever, and we went in the same circles, but I never had a chance to shake this brother's hand, and I had a chance tonight. God's timing is absolute, you know what I'm saying? Everything for a reason, and he's with us today. Brother Malik from Malik's Books. Man, how you doing, brother?
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to be with your audience today. I appreciate it. There's no coincidence in this world.
Right.
We're meant to cross paths today, and to have this opportunity to speak with you and the beautiful young lady beside you. Yes. Thank you again. Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. Now, let's go back a little bit because you've been a staple in our community, for a long time.
Long time.
Yeah, I know you know stories where bodies are buried. So let's talk about some of the humble beginnings, man, and just kind of bring us abreast on the Malik that we don't know.
Well, hey, Malik's Books has been in the community since 1989. Started this journey, because I came out of college. I went to USC, got a degree, came across some information about, black people, and it changed my life. And I said to myself, man, if it can make a difference in my life, maybe it can make a difference in other people's lives. Because knowledge itself is key.
Right.
You have to know your past, to know your present, and to know your future. So my motivation or moment of clarity was simply to elevate to educate, or to educate to elevate. But the reality is that, so I began this journey in the community to help educate our community in the way of knowledge itself, to empower us. So in 89, I opened up the bookstore, and I started out on Crenshaw. I started out on Manchester and Figueroa. Well, that was rough for me I didn't know much about business, so location is very key to any business that you go in. You have to target a demographic. Well, my demographic was black people, but in that where I set up at wasn't the right demographics for what I was doing. We'll buy some Popeye's chicken, but we won't buy no books. So that wasn't the best location.
Right. That's true.
They was making off, I was in that little shopping center. So, I lost a lot of money, but I didn't give up. And just because you don't win today don't mean you can win tomorrow.
Right.
That's right.
So Malik's kept the struggle and the journey until I found the right formula. But I didn't quit. I didn't give up. And so business is like that. You cannot quit. You got to keep forging along, have a plan. But sometimes you got to tweak the plan. And you got to have a plan to be in a plan.
Right.
So you got to, you're going to learn from your mistakes. But that's how we get smart. What don't kill you, what? Make you stronger.
Right.
So, fast forward today, I'm still doing it. I'm still part of the Black Book Revolution that came across America in the 80s and the 90s. And, we continue along in this journey to educate, to elevate.
I love it. Now, even the journey of coming through and you talked about the people and the demographics. That's so important for people to understand, you know what I'm saying? Your environment and where you're at can sometimes, most times, have a big influence on your social achievements, adjustment, alignments, or even the way you act on a day-to-day basis. And that's a good thing with having Ginger here to psychologically trying to break down some of that in relationship. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I like how you talked about, I think you said educate to elevate. Was that your quote?
Yes. Yes.
And I feel like a lot of times, in a lot of ways, your education, whether it's about social, mental health, physical health, it's about your awareness of African American history, that it's, unless you have that foundational education, you're not able to elevate to the next level. So can you talk about that whole education in your, bookstore and what you're like striving to have accomplished with the people?
Well, here's the thing. I had a degree from USC, but I didn't have knowledge of self. The first thing in life, you got to love yourself. We lack self-esteem in the hood and in our community. And this is why we do a lot of things to one another, because we start with self. You got to love yourself, respect yourself, and know yourself before you can elevate. And what happens is the education that we get in school, it only reinforces status quo, but it doesn't give you the value within you to do what you need to do. Now, some of us are able to escape our environment and still not have knowledge of self, because one of the keys of success is to work and to work hard and believe in what you're doing. So even if you believe in something, you can be an engineer, you could be a doctor, you could be a pilot and lack knowledge of self. You see, and still be successful.
Right.
But the reality is that we are over 100 years up from slavery. And we have not built our communities to a place where where it's respected. We can drive through Jewish neighborhoods, Korean neighborhoods, Mexican neighborhoods, but guess what? Where's our neighborhood and community at? Where you walk through or drive through and you say, "Oh my God, this is beautiful." See, we've been up from slavery 100 years. There's no excuse today. Nobody's stopping us but us. They said anything that you want to do, they say hide it, since people don't read, so hide it in the book.
There you go.
But today we're free to read.
Yeah.
We're free to read, but yet we don't want to read. I watch people walk by my store every day. Walk by and not even interested. Because and we are free to do what we couldn't do 100, 200, 300 years ago. Something has to give. We have to have a generation of change. We have to go about this in a different method. We done bouncing off walls and tried every way. We have to start with teaching our kids to love thyself. You cannot love somebody else until you first know how to love you. That's why our relationships are bad in the community. Men and women, our women are raising kids single. Why? Bad relationships.
So
it's snowball effect. I'm sorry. Go ahead, my sister.
okay.
I didn't want to cut you off.
No, I just wanted to
he's
say
passionate.
he's passionate. And I'm a very, very passionate person, so I can like totally relate. But I just wanted to slow you down just because you have so much great information to share with the people, and slowing it down, because how I look at it just from just the mental health. So you have the individual that's in like a bubble. Let's say a circle. You have the individual. You said self-love, right? And then the outer circle is family, right? Who are the connections that's surrounding them, of which the individual looks at and will see. Then you have the community that surrounds the family. Then at the bigger core of it is the social ecological, right? So how do systems surround the community, who surround the family, who surround the individual, and how all of that plays a role in terms of self-love? What are the messages that are being sent out to these young, boys and girls of color? What are the messages that are being presented? What is being glorified and all of that? Those messages sink in, and those messages become a part of, is this what I'm supposed to cherish about my race? But I just wanted to slow you down in terms of that aspect, and just, I don't know if you had some additional questions with where he was going, but I just wanted to slow us down and talk about how that, like, there's a bigger system to this, outside of just that individual.
Right. Because as a community, we were even talking a little while ago about how the paradigm shift in the way the discipline was metered out as we were young, and the way now to where they continue to handcuff us, as we can use that scenario, in raising our kids with the fear of the Lord, which is spare the rod, spoil the child. That's what we were taught to do. Okay, and we were on the rod part of it. So it didn't kill us. We're still here, and some of us have become better behind it. Very few do you find somebody that sits there and says, I murdered 7 people because I was beat as a kid, and I just, want to take it out on somebody. Very few come up like that in our community. In other communities, you can put that on there, but in our community, it's basically you running around with all that baggage. And then when you get, especially with women with relationships, and then they're going from relationship to relationship, and every time that they get into a new relationship, they're carrying another piece of baggage, to where when they get to that right guy, they're sitting in there with, looks like their whole home, and they're talking about moving in with you, and you're sitting there looking at all the baggage. You're like, oh, baby, you ain't the one. I'm outie. And then she wonders why she can't find love, because she's carrying the baggage. So we've got to find a way to, first and foremost, young men, you got to quit all this stuff walking around talking about, I'm a pimp. You know what I'm saying? Your pants hanging around your butt or whatever. That is not cool. That came from a different perspective than you know of. You know what I'm saying? It demonstrated a different world. You know what I'm saying? When you wore your pants down, it was an open invitation. That was a sign that you were open for business. Okay, and that's where that originated, from the walls of the jails, okay?
Yes,
and so now it came out here, and you're supposed to think it's cool. Now, nobody wants to see your dirty drawers, man. Come on now.
No, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And, something happens, you can't even run from the scene of a crime. Pants all hanging all out. So, guys, you've got these women women, let me tell you, young girls, let me tell you something. It ain't about just trying to please somebody else in your life that's going to make you happy. If you don't find a way to please yourself and make yourself happy, then what you need to do is find somebody that you can relate to, somebody that sets something in your mind and says, wow, I like the way they carry themselves. I like the way they look. I like the way they talk, because women are emotional characters. And so find somebody that just really does that for you, and just watch the way she does, the way she talks, and figure it out. And then, like I said, if you can't figure it out, ask somebody. But you going to the guys to get an interpretation on something like that, we don't do nothing but lie. We lie our asses off, you know what I'm saying? Come on now. It's all about, how can I get out? And then when you found out you done met a representative, it's too late to get out. So that's how we keep stacking these women with baggage. So, I mean, it's a community thing. We've got to start policing each other.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's why it's special to have somebody who's OG and understands the knowledge base, understands the perspectives of learning and being able to look in a book and know our history, because how can you go forward if you don't know where you came from? And that's what they do.
Absolutely.
The trick is to take the background from behind us and give us their fake facade and make it look like, well, you know what? It was all good then. It never was all good then, and it's never going to be all good now until this world is burnt to a crisp and come back again in the wholeness. So, you know, you got to find out how to do it. So it's good, Brother Malik, with you having the basis for somebody to stop in and say, man, I heard about this book. Let me give it a read. You know what I'm saying? They're quick to go down there and try to find back issues of the pimp.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
To find out how to take their life that way. But how many is going to find out a way to understand that we had Black Wall Street? We had black people with, man, money, with knowledge base, man, the inventions that we've done, man, the gold mines that we put in front of them.
See, one thing that I want to say.
Yes, sir.
You know, this is what Malik Books is all about here in the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall. You know.
Yes, sir.
It's all about, we talked about Black Wall Street. What in my research and being in this bookstore, I got plenty of time to read a lot of books and educate myself on many things. Here's the thing. You are divine when you're born. You are divine when you die. You was born to excel and be excellent, no matter what the circumstances that you might have been born into. We have a tremendous amount of successful individuals in America. In slavery, post-slavery, you find the history books filled with successful black people, even though they had tremendous odds against them. Harriet Tubman, who sacrificed freedom to go back and get another person. Some wanted to follow her, some didn't. But here's the thing. We're not showing on success individuals. What we're lacking is the collective success. See, we can speak all day about individuals that was able to pull what they say, pull their bootstrap and be successful, all right? No matter what, all right? But we have not done this collectively.
Right.
And that's where we're falling short. And until we can unite, because unity is more powerful than an atomic bomb, all of these problems that we're talking about are going to continue. We got to address this together.
Right.
We got to pull money together.
Yeah.
If listen, we 50 million in America.
Right.
And if we could just pull, if the person, let's say 40 million people, give a minimum of $20 a month. You raising $800 million per month, around $12 billion per year. How many schools, communities, businesses, hospitals can we build collectively for the greater good of black people? This is what civilized people do all over the world. This is how America builds its revenue base to do certain things. Until we can understand that we have to have a collective black fund and all of us contribute for the greater good, for your children, for your grandchildren, for her children, her grandchildren. That's the greater good of the black people. We are going to continue to struggle.
Right.
We see overnight people winning $1 billion playing the Powerball.
Right. Right.
Gambling. This is how all civilized nations pull their revenue. And we're not doing that.
Right.
So all we have is individuals, and you can only do so much as an individual.
Right.
But what we can do collectively would be mind-shattering.
Right. That's
all
correct.
these problems about educating our youth about the wearing their pants sagging, all that gonna change because we raising kids that's gonna have a different mindset.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're gonna, you know what? We're gonna start with you, ladies and gentlemen. we're gonna do something. Malik, we're gonna do something. We're power based now. Your family now.
Right.
We're here on every Monday. We're gonna find out a way to get those people in there, and then, like I said, not only have a chance to meet and greet you, see the books or whatever, but we're gonna set up some kind of something where we can do some giveaways. So we can just once a month come down there and bring some music down there, man, and let's work on this and see what we can do. Malik, we just got to make a base out there, man. This is gonna be a home base for us. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And so I know I like the calendar. I showed them
amazing.
as much as I could the calendar, and we're going to come in and get some more calendars. We need about 10 more calendars so I can get them away on the air. So we're going to talk about getting some calendars. Phenomenal.
Yes.
African American women, past and present. But Malik, I appreciate you taking the time, man. I know you're passionate about what you're talking about, and that's what we need more cats with passion, man. That's going to make a difference. And so let's continue. Yeah, we got each other. Let's continue to figure out how we're going to do something over there at your spot, man, and just open the doors and get some people to just, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, put that collective together, make that collective, man. We appreciate you, man. Like I said, our house is your house. Man, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Be blessed, brother.
Pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
Too. All right, peace.
Wow, that brother's passionate.
Wow.
Well, that was correct. Wow, that was deep comment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. Like I was saying earlier, everything we do is got a psychological aspect behind it. Now, I know you had a lot to ingest right now.
Right.
So kind of like ingest something and regurgitate something that we can understand. You know what I'm saying? Because it may seem like we're trying to eat an elephant, but we can do it one bite at a time.
We can. For me, what he touched on is collective impact.
Right.
And so it's always this analogy is like, these are individuals like my fingers, but this punch is collective, right? The power that this has behind it. But collective impact only moves at the speed of trust.
Right.
And so I always say that it's like one doesn't trust the other one. And I don't know your motives or, so that's that outward perception that we have that I don't know if you have my best interest at heart.
Right.
And so there's always this competition unwritten, right? So only one can get to the top. So I'm going to get to the top. Crab, the whole crab
scenario. Exactly.
And so it's almost like that reshaping, changing the narrative of that, you know what, there's abundance. There's an abundance of things that we can do together as opposed to a deficit mindset. So it's all that shifting of some messages when I go back to communal messages that have been out there. So just letting people know that it's kind of shifting and it's a muscle that some people have to work on. Like we're working out. I'm not used to thinking or shifting in abundance thinking. I'm thinking, oh, no, there's deficit here. I got to save. I got to, hoard this, skill set. I can't share it. And so it's kind of shifting that narrative for people.
Right. And it's always scary when you're going into a new scenario. Folks, we understand that. But what is life without risk? You take a risk every day when you walk out the door. When you come back in the evening and listen to the news, how many people got run over in a crosswalk and they didn't even stop? Or people get shot in stray bullets or whatever, because there's not a bullet I've ever seen that's got a name on it and goes directly where it's supposed to go.
Right.
Not even during wartime, you know what I'm saying? So these things happen. Airplanes falling out the sky, fuselages. I mean, things happen, folks. Earthquakes, where stuff falls down on you. You know what I'm saying? Or what are tornadoes? Lift you in the house up, and it ain't gonna be no Toto and Dorothy. I mean, that's a fairy tale. Where you end up may not be where you wanted to start from. But these are things that happen every day, every hour.
Right.
So there's no guarantee when you lock that door in the morning that you're going to unlock it in the evening time. That's the scary part. But we got to go beyond fear some way, because if we live in fear, we're going to get our little bubble, and we're going to stay in our bubble, and that's all we're going to do is exist inside the bubble. And where's growth there? You know what I'm saying?
Right. So, I mean, you talk about fear. So there is legitimate fear, right? I just fear, I have a fear of spiders or snakes, right? And so, but I can manage it.
Right.
But then there's a debilitating sense of fear where it literally stops you in your track and you're not able to flourish because of this, right? It happens in self-sabotaging behavior. I'm just fearful of what success may look like, right? What it may cause, what different muscles that I have to, strengthen in that area. So I shy away from opportunities, or I, miss appointments, or I stay in the bed, or, these things that kind of really debilitate us. And so it's kind of tapping in. You talked about that, finding mentors, finding people who are doing what you want to do, letting people know that you're afraid.
Right.
And so, like, just being open about that.
Getting some help, you know what I'm saying? We're taught to suck it up. I know as a growing up as a young man, I was taught you don't cry, you don't show emotions or whatever, because that's a weakness. And then you come out to LA and then you understand the full perspective of what that means, because you got cats out here mad mugging just on the strength of just trying to look all hard or whatever. First time you bust them upside their head, then you find a whole different thing.
Right.
But I'm just saying that everybody wants to walk around here looking all, frown lines or whatever. It's like, dude, for what?
Right. Yeah.
What? Okay, let's talk about short game and long game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What's the long game?
Right.
Short game used to be, okay, when you are finding a young lady that you want to date, you go to the right spot where women are. That's the short game, okay? Then depending on what your taste is, you figure out if you're going to go to a bar, you're going to go to a church, or you can go to the library, and that's going to bring a certain caliber of man or woman.
Right.
The long game is when you get a chance to spend some time with them, you're going to sit back and say, okay, now I've been in this for a minute. Where is this going? Is there a future in this one here? Are we going to continue to be friends with benefits, friends without benefits? Or do we combine our trust first and foremost to build quantitatively something that's going to last and it's going to give us legends, going to give us legacies, you know what I'm saying? So that's the long game.
Right.
And there's a lot of people, if you can't get by the short game, you ain't got no business stepping into the long game. You know what I'm saying? You can't even swim, walk across a puddle in the middle of your front yard. You think you're going to swim across a swimming pool and then jump out of a swimming pool and go do a decathlon where you have like 2 miles in the ocean to swim and go? Come on now.
Yeah.
Common sense has got to take over at some point.
And so, I mean, in that example is like, what is their why behind doing it, right? So what's my intention behind, whether it's dating or it's career or doing something you've never done before? What is my why? My why is going to keep me in the game.
Right.
The skin is going to be in the game. If it's an immediate satisfaction,
right,
that stuff, it does fade away. But if it's long-term, I want a long-term companion, or I want an actual career in which I'm growing and I'm affecting people's lives, then the why is going to keep me to whatever trials and tribulations that come along the way. I'm like, I know why I'm doing this. I know why I'm pursuing this career or this, man or this woman. Like, I know my why. So I keep to that course. And so a lot of people not being unsure, like, I don't know why I'm doing this. You know?
Exactly.
And so if you don't know why, you're not going to continue to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you got to be smart with it, because, you know what I'm saying? When you go through life and you learn how to take and bounce back from the punches in the face, and, falling over and spraining an ankle or something like that, you don't do the same thing next time. You don't jump off of a 40-foot building and just think you're going to land like a cat. It ain't going to happen. So if you're jumping into a relationship and you find out that every time you jump into a relationship, you're the only one left standing at the end of the day that got any sense and sensibility about you, only thing doing, you go to a job, and at the end of the day, you're sitting there going, man, where is the paycheck? I'm only here for the pay. You hate your job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You go to school and you hate your teachers, you hate your classes. I'm not talking about you little kids, because you got to deal with this, okay? That's your drama, okay? But I'm talking about folks that have sense about them, that they can ask questions, and you're going and doing things you don't like. You know what I'm saying? If somebody gives you, not once has anybody been able to go to the store and say, you know what, just give me some food.
Right.
Or go to the bank and say, okay, I got a banking account here, give me some money. Okay, I'm going to buy a house, just give me a house. Nobody goes, they go in there with some kind of blueprint of what they want in every perspective. Right. So if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. You've got to have some aspect of what you want out of this one here, whether it's psychobabble or do you want some sonality in your life? That depends on where you go shopping for it. But they keep telling us, oh, it's taboo to go to therapy, because that's going to be on the family, that we're crazy and somewhere in our DNA. Well, let me wake y'all up. Yes, in our DNA as black people, we got crazy. We got insane. And, you can understand after all of the trials and tribulations we went through, man, the average one of them would have been and shot themselves, woke themselves back up, hung themselves, and then everything else, burned themselves, because they couldn't trial and tribulate like we've done it. We've had to grow stronger to immune for what they've done. Okay. So we should learn from that. Our thick skin should let us know that, hey, I can go through this. I can do this, and quit making the same doggone. So if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, ladies and gentlemen, it is not Affleck. It's a duck. Okay. So don't get it twisted. You know, if it's the same old thing you're getting out of it and going back in because your pattern is stuck on stupid, then go get repatterned, get reprogrammed. Yeah. Find somebody, talk to somebody like Ginger and say, you know what, even if you got to call, you know what I'm saying, in the closet, you know what I'm saying, I need some help. I mean, however until you get out of there, however you can, you know, find a way to do it, get some help, because if you don't, you're like a flat tire. Yeah. If you keep rolling on a flat tire, the rims are going to go there. Then you're going to have an axle problem. Next thing you know, the motor's going to go out and your whole car is blown up. Come on, y'all. Quit all that taboo of saying we're not supposed to be, we can go to church. We can't get everything we need from the church.
You know, there's this saying that you can have a therapist and God. Like, it doesn't have to always be an either or. And I think a lot of times people think, oh, okay, I if I do this, I can't like have a spiritual life. Right. And I don't think that that's true. I think that, you know, therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, like we're put here for a reason to support it. And I look at it as a support system. I mean, if you think about families and culturally African-American families, you know, being more closed and, you know, what happens here stays in our family and we kind of keep that. But concealing things really, really does a detriment to people. And if we think about the second leading cause of death in teens is suicide, it's because of a lot of reasons. One, impulsivity. So if you know anything about the teenage brain is still developing and their ability to see past next week is, you know, insurmountable. So that a problem for them seems unmanageable. It's not that like I can look next year and see, okay, this is going to change. It's like immediate. Like, no, it's not happening tomorrow. Then my life is over. And so with impulsivity and depression, then there's a highly likelihood of suicide attempts. And then when I'm not able to talk to my family or my friends, because we don't talk about the psycho babble or what things, that they turn to alternative methods. And I look at therapy as a way of life. Like it's not because, you know, someone would say, well, I can't afford therapy. Right. And so what if I can't afford therapy? But I feel like there's, you know, college. You can go to, you know, they have college centers where they have, you know, interns that are supervised by licensed professionals that can support you. They have groups that you can go to. Maybe you can't go to individual, but maybe you're open to going to groups. Or, you know, if you're for, I guess, teens or adolescents who are up through their parents' insurance, they can go through them. So there's a variety of ways that they can seek out therapy.
Right. You know what? We're going to have to flesh this out because we're going to have to give people, I like to give people numbers and addresses to follow up on it so that you can find some of the amenities you made make a lot of sense. Yeah. We need to be able to find a way to bring people into perspective. We have another caller. Let's see who's coming to talk to us. Let's,
awesome.
Hello, caller. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good. You liking the show? You watching the show with us?
Oh, yes. I'm enjoying it.
Okay, yes. So what can we do for you today to help your life to be a little more manageable?
Well, as an African-American woman, as a kid, I saw a therapist, and as an adult, I saw a therapist. And I know in our black culture, they say, well, you shouldn't go to a therapist. You know, they have that negative thing. If you go see a therapist, something's wrong with you. Hey, I'm doing fine.
Hello?
Yes, I'm enjoying the show.
Okay, great. If you have anything back in the background, you can turn it down a little bit because I think you're getting a feedback or whatever. And we want to have you be able to understand everything we're saying here. So I'm going to throw this over to Miss Ginger. And Ginger, yeah.
So, caller, do you have a question in terms of, you know, therapy and going to therapy, or do you have any recommendations for some of our listeners?
Hello, caller?
Hello, I'm still here.
Yeah, okay. Can you hear us okay? Because I know you got something going on back there, so we're going to try to work this out with you.
I don't know how, well, you know what? I'm gonna have to get off because I don't know how to turn it down.
No, no. We don't want you to get off now. We don't want you to lose. No, we want no. But what we're saying is, she was under. Is there a specific question that you were wanting to ask about that, or how that relates and how we can help young people, or what was the question on it? Hello?
I think.
No, we can hear you. Go ahead.
I think finding a good therapist that you can trust.
No, we got you. No, it just seems like it's either your television or your radio's up too loud. That's all that is. So if you have a control button for volume button, you can turn that down. No, you're just getting feedback and delay. That's all. But we want to make sure that we understand that you can walk away from here getting some answers to it. So your question basically was, you said that you had experienced or you were looking into some things where it wasn't taboo. Are you still there? Hello, caller?
So it sounds like she's off, but I kind of heard her talking about how she went to counseling as a child and as an adult.
Exactly.
And so for maybe in her family, it wasn't as taboo of a thing. And it sounds like she's more of a proponent. I did hear her say that it's that trust or development. I think she said trust with a therapist. Right. So like a lot of times, people want to go to someone who may look like them or have the same experience or, culturally may connect to them. So I always say building that or finding that relationship that you have with a therapist really, really matters as far as seeking therapy.
Right. Now, so you have a practice that you have.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So let's talk about your practice. Yes. And because somebody's going to hear that tonight and say, let me give her a call. Yes, so I can call you in the middle of the night and say, excuse me. Guess what? I'm one of them that can't talk too loud. Go ahead.
Right. Not 24 hours, but no. I am, in the city of Long Beach, and I can take this off, right?
Yeah, you can.
I feel like I don't know.
Yeah,
really. It's feedback. But in the city of Long Beach, I have a practice, Lavender Counseling, and you can find me online, www.gingerlavendertherapy.com.
Spell that ginger lavender.
Ginger like the spice, GINGR. Lavender like the color, LAVENDER. Therapy.com or on my Instagram is Ginger Lavender LMFT. And can I give my business number because we have
address to the home
not the address,
not the home.
But we have not only myself, but we have clinicians who are definitely on board there that work with a variety of clients and I specialize in teens. So I do specifically work with teens and millennials. But my office number is 562-641-5638. Again, 562-641-5638. And that's where you can be reached by someone from my practice to enroll you if you qualify.
Right. Well, there's a whole lot of folks that are qualified. Like if you qualify.
Yes.
Look, if you wake up in the morning, you wonder what you're doing here on this earth, man, you qualify. Something wrong with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And just so that the people know, and part of my plight is really to talk that we don't have to have this taboo about mental health.
Right.
Mental health is me. Mental health is you. I believe in having a therapist. I need to have someone to check in with. I need a sounding board myself. And so I am a proponent that our teens need people to talk to. And I'm not just saying therapy, right? So the trusted adult. Okay. If you have a trusted adult that you can divulge information to and you don't have to sit with it and let it eat at you and cause stress and hard. I mean, there's so many things that people live with, and you talk about people dying of stress. Right, exactly. It's just this toxicity of stress gets into under your skin. Right. And it starts to get to you. Get headaches. You start to get, heart palpitations, panic attacks, and all that stuff happens. So it's good to talk to someone. Right. Yeah, health from the inside out. That's another component, man. Because if you don't keep yourself, internally, mentally, physically, and spiritually clean, then you're going to go into a lot of problems. You know what I'm saying? And the mental one, because the mind's a terrible thing to waste because it's so powerful. It can be good, powerful to be proactive, and it can be negative because it can eat at you. Right. And just kind of open you up like a can of worms. And you're sitting there seeing all these worms. You're like, where are they coming from? Yeah. Internally. They are. Because you got trash in, trash out. So what you were saying about the books and whatever else, if you're putting in feed that's good feed, good soil, good roots,
then it's going to grow that and water it with good water. Good conversation, keeping away from the negativity and whatever else, like you were saying earlier, the vibes, what I'm saying, divides people in the arena. You can walk into a place and there's no air left in the room, and you're suffocating walking in because people could suck the air out of the room right in front of you. You're sitting there going, why am I suffocating? You're around people that don't get it.
Right.
They're not on the same level. Man, ladies and gentlemen, if you find that, I don't care where you're at, leave, run. If you're in a relationship that's suffocating you, get out of it. If it's a marriage or something like that, God bless you, but pray and find a way to get out of it because it can be toxic. If you're inside of a job and you feel like, man, I can't leave this job, man, then you know what? That's okay because they will bury you at that job and find that if they're going to come and pay for the funeral. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying if you're in a relationship with your family and it's toxic, in-laws, no matter who it is, if they're bringing toxicity into your life, man, and just messing up your vibe, dude, then you have a choice of laying down and dying, okay, from stress, like she said, and all this other stuff, high blood pressure and the craziness, or you leave. If it ain't working for you, guess what? It ain't working for you today, tomorrow, or next week if it's the same scenario. So, is that correct? Or
Yeah, no, definitely. Without the titles, right? So toxicity is toxicity.
Right.
And so I think longer the days that, okay, because you are connected to me by blood, then I'm going to allow you to drain my energy and ultimately lead to health issues or problems. Speaking to that, pouring into your mental and your spiritual, like it's so important, right? So like, just like a low sale, right? Unless you like energize that and pour into yourself, you just continue to drain. And so I think the opposite of that is like, yes, talking, but also pouring something into you, whether that's a book, that's a great podcast, or, something that is really pouring into your spirit. So I'm really a big proponent of wellness, total wellness.
No, I am too. And like I said, I'm glad that you opened the doors to talk to people as far as your business. And I didn't ask you this off the air, and I don't want to front you on the air, but hopefully you're going to tell me that chair over there got your name on the back of it. I ain't say that.
Did it?
Yes, I did. So you can answer that question today, or you can answer it. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so we started out talking about phenomenal black women.
Yes.
And we got this from Malik's at Malik's Bookstore, located on the second level of the Baldwin Hills Mall, which is 3760 Crenshaw Boulevard, which is a couple of blocks away from here. Good things come to those that wait. And I waited for a while to get this calendar, and I got mine before 2020 started. So I'm going to make sure that we have something for the women to where we can do our giveaways. Guys, you got to tune in. We're going to be giving away giveaways. We're going to help out. And don't be embarrassed to get help. Give them the information again where they can catch up with your sister, because she's one we can recommend.
Yes, definitely online, www.gingerlavendertherapy.com. You can learn all about my practice and the things that we have happening for women and children. Also, my number is 562-641-5638. That's the business number, 562-641-5638. And somebody will be contacting you. So thank you.
Yes, and so the more that you come in contact with yourself and realize who you are and what you are, then the cleaner you're going to be. We got to get into 2020 with a whole new awareness, a whole new awakening, guys. We got to shake the bad habits, okay?
Yes.
So let's step up and step out. And we'd like to thank Phyllis McNeil from Straight Talk for being a supporter of the show and calling up people saying, you got to watch it, you got to watch it. You know what I'm saying? Pastor Georgia Brown and Gar over there. Appreciate you guys there. Dr. Jason, who's a part of this team. Paige and Nicole and LJ, that's a part of the team. And us here from Miss M and also from Miss Lavender, Ginger Lavender. This is D Nice. And like I say each and every week, put God first and everything else will follow. I guarantee it. We'll see you next week on The Cultures of Film and Music.
Heaven must have known that this day would surely come along. Got some angels watching me to make sure